Greetings and welcome to Code Quickie. And today we're going to be looking at downloading files with the Google Drive API. And how we're going to go about this. We are going to be using Angular. And Angular is the modern framework for today's web applications. Any app, whether app big or small, you can get it done with Angular. Angular is spreading. Angular is growing into the mobile field, progressive web apps, anything you could think of, you can get things done with Angular. Angular is a Google product, and along with the GCP platform, we are going to be going through this lab today. So first, let us get started by downloading the web application here. If you click on this link, we want to go ahead and download this and open this up in our terminal. And also, we wanted to go ahead and do is you want to download the separate download folders. I would like to go ahead and upload these upload these files through the lab, but we already covered that in another video. So after we download this folder, place in a separate folder, we want to go into our terminal. We want to go ahead and cd into the Angular app, and we want to go ahead and run this command and pair it up. Right? We want to go ahead and run this command here. I already have the application open, so I won't try to open it, but for you, also want you to give this open flag. And I see that there's a little error. Let me go correct it. All right, and now our application is ready to go. And as we open up the application, what you also want to do is you want to open up DevTools as well, so we can see how GCP interacts with our data as we develop this application to download different types of data. Now, first things first, when we're dealing with downloading data, it's not like a download pop-up where it opens up your file explorer and you get to see where you want to download the file. No, it actually, how things are done in Google is that you have to create that part of your application. And what Google Cloud Platform does with the files in its Drive API, it actually gives you the file content through REST API. I'm going to go ahead and see that. Now your application is running. What we want to go ahead and do is you want to go ahead and set up the credentials. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to open up. We're going to go ahead and open up our download directive. Say Angular concepts right here, and we want to go ahead and paste our credentials like so. And now we want to make sure our credentials are set up to work. So what we want to go ahead and do is we want to head over to console.developers. Takes over. We want to go ahead and select the project we're working with here. It's GCP data certs. Want to head over to our credentials, and then we create our credentials, an API key, and OAuth, right? They're already created here, so I don't want to go through that, but we want to go ahead and edit. We want to make sure we restrict our key to the Drive API, and for OAuth, because this is an OAuth application, we want to go in, and for URL, we want to give it localhost port 8000. That's where our Angular app is being served. It's usually 4200. You just go ahead and make that change. If you have a different localhost where you're having a different app, you go ahead and paste that along with the port. And if you're serving it from a production and you have a domain, you go ahead and paste that domain as given, hit save, and now we're credentialized, ready to access your account on Google Cloud Platform. So what we want to go ahead and do after that is we want to go ahead and copy our API key as well as our client email. They call it ID. I like to call it email because if you take a look here, it actually looks like an email. It actually looks like an email. So we go ahead and paste it in source slash environment and environment.drive.dev, a TypeScript file, and now our app has the credentials that it needs to go ahead and work with Google Cloud Platform API. So next we want to go ahead and do, we just want to load our SDK. SDK, once again, is a big library for the browser, and we don't need all of it. We just want to go ahead and work with the drive portion of the SDK. So we go ahead in our discovery doc, we specify we're working with the Drive API version 3, and we use it like so. So at this point, we are ready to interact. Right, so first things first, we want to do something simple. We want to make sure when we're downloading, we want to be able to have the option. We need to know which files to choose, and we can choose our files through IDs. But before we get to choose any of the IDs, we have to have all the IDs and the files available to look from. So this function here is going to allow us to look at our files in totality. Right? If you just break it down, we go ahead and make a GET request to this URL. And from the result in the body, there's a files object, which is a files array, a sequence. How it comes in your app in JavaScript, it comes up as an array, and you want to look through those. You want to go through those to find the files you need. Right? Now, so what I want to go ahead and do is, now we have ability to access all the files. Let's go ahead and try to download a regular file. So first thing first, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and take download me, and we're just going to go ahead and upload it. I rather upload it programmatically, but for time's sake and for simplicity, so you can know specifically how to download, we're just going to go ahead, copy and paste through the UI. Great. Now, next thing we want to go ahead and do is we want to go in our environment and just set up our app to perform a typical download. We copy that download object and replace it like so. Should have made it simple except for Drive, but that's okay. And we want to go ahead and copy this code and place it between download a file from Google Drive. Right now, the application is ready to work. And before we continue, we just want to take a look at the content of download me, and we want to see that as we download, it's same as the content. So as you can see, file content here. We go ahead and download. Let's go ahead and download. Right, and then we can see now our file content here is like so. So we want to go ahead and take a look at the request that is responsible. Right, we see that we need to make a GET request to this URL with the file ID, and how we got that file ID. We use that get all files code that we got in earlier. We want to go ahead and provide our access token every time we're using the GCP and we're using the REST API. Always want to make sure that access token is included like so, especially when you're using the browser. And then a more important part is use this parameter right here, alt equals media. This indicates to the API that a download needs to be performed. And C, we don't get to download a file, it just gives us file content, and we do like so. This is great because we can go ahead and use it in the application. Say it doesn't need to go to end user as a file, we can use it in our application like so. This is very good. This makes Google Drive more than a file explorer, especially the API. Right, so let's say, for example, you want to just go ahead and make a folder instead. Let's just go ahead, make a folder, call it folder 1, right, and see if it could download the folder. Want to throw this inside of it. Let's see, because it wouldn't make sense to download an empty folder. Let's try to download a folder with some items in it. We're going to go ahead and say folder 1, and let us see what happens. If we're going to get an interesting little object, or we're going to get an error, and it should just be, let's do result, because we want to see what we get here. Hit download like so, and now we get an error. Let's point out what the error is. All right, didn't update in time. That's okay. Oh, I think I know what happened. I have to pipe this through. Let me actually go ahead and pipe it through the catch error operator. Right? File not downloadable. Only files with binary content can be downloaded. Use export, right? So basically, this is trying to indicate, this error is basically trying to say that this here is a folder, but actually, it's actually telling us something else, right? Folders, a quick overview, is just used to organize files. They themselves, that's their only purpose. Their purpose is not to be downloaded, although this message is actually indicating that they can be downloaded. We're going to go ahead, as we see in this next section with G Suite, want to take a little detour and see if we can actually still download that folder, which is very interesting. All right, so next thing we want to go ahead and do is download a Google Suite doc. Want to head over to docs.google.com. Want to go ahead and just choose any resume template here. We're just going to choose the first one. Want to go ahead and name it my GDoc resume. Right, so our code could pick it up better. And then we want to see if that, and we want to go ahead and see if it's available in our drive. Right, and then we want to go ahead, want to see if it comes up, and it comes up like so. And now what we want to go ahead and do is download this, and we could find that we don't get the file extension for Google Documents is known as GDoc, but we can't actually download it as a GDoc, right? Google just won't allow it, so we have to change the MIME type when we're requesting this. As you could see, as we try to download it from the UI dashboard, the interface, right, there is no GDoc provided here. Microsoft Word, open document, rich text. So what we need to do is we need to check out the common MIME type and choose a MIME type as indicated in the download section. Let's go ahead with PDF because I do have a list here. So let's go ahead and set this up. What I want to go ahead and do is replace the environment, ready, so it could be ready to receive the instruction to go ahead and download the G Suite doc. Great, make the G Suite option 2. It's not an Angular feature. I'm just taking advantage of the environment that it offers. You don't get this in React. I'm going to copy and paste this code, and you want to copy and paste the export. And now what we want to go ahead and do is go ahead and download like so. right? And look at it. Now it's a PDF. There we go, right? So this is PDF. If you ever taken a look at a PDF in the text editor, this is what we'll look at, right? So now let's try some other MIME types. So the MIME type here, as you can see, is application PDF. And if you want it to be PDF. Now let's try, there's two MIME types for Microsoft documents. As you can see, you think this is Microsoft Word. Come up as a doc, let's see what happens. Right, so we get an error. The requested conversion is not supported. Right, you can keep on looking at other MIME types. This is still Word document MIME type right here. Let's try this one instead. You go ahead and download. And it's working. Every time it waits, it is working. So this is what a Word document looks like when you open up with your text editor. And let us actually try to do something interesting and actually try to zip it up. Get ourselves what a zip file looks in the text editor. And you can see it came across a lot quicker. Why? Because zip files compresses the size, it finds all those bytes that are repeatable, and instead of just repeats himself in an unzipped format, just says byte pattern times X times Y times Z, like so. And let's look at more download types you can offer, and let's see if we can find their respective MIMEs. Right, let's try to get a rich text format and a web page. Web page should be interesting because then we'd be able to open up in the browser. Right, it might be a bit to set up, but I'll try to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and find RTF. Right, and by the way, I'll post this link in the instructional, and I'll post the instructional, right, this instructional form that you see here in the video description. Right, so RTF. All right, let's take application RTF. Right, so I've seen a lot of applications. So if you don't have access and you don't know how to use it, just say application slash and then the following extension should work. Let's see what RTF looks like. Okay, RTF, it's not as scary, right? I don't see any nasty binary characters, right? And let us try HTML, hypertext markup, right? Let's see what this will look like in text/HTML. Let's ultimately see if we could open this up in our browser, like so. That'll be really cool. We're gonna actually go ahead and type. Oh wow! All right, you go take a look. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. All right, let me just copy it. New. Should have tried to give it an embed tag. Let us put it in vids, download my g.doc resume.html. Let us head over to the file explorer. Right, hit the R. Let's try to open up in the browser. And wow, won't you look at that? Right, so Google Cloud Platform, right, the API is definitely amazing. It's definitely much when it comes to coding, but when you're able to visualize and finalize your results, you can just see how powerful and granular things are, just allowing you to do a lot with their platform. Although you can't do things one way uniformly. Well, you could do REST APIs uniformly, but sometimes you have to use the SDK. Sometimes you do have to use other options in order to work with it. But as you can see here, this would bring energy to anyone working with platforms. All right, so now what we want to go ahead and do is let me head over. Want to be able to do a partial download. Now, say in your application, you might have a certain reason you want to do this. I want to offer this up anyway because I know I don't have a use case, but I know that someone is looking to learn how to do this. Say if you don't need the whole file downloaded in your application, you need a partial download. Maybe your file is holds data, and you use files to hold the data, or to hold your data in the database if you need it organized. Let's say if you have to use a file to hold the data, and say if you're on a mobile platform and the app doesn't need the whole file, but it needs part of it, you can go ahead and do a partial download. Google Drive API allows for that as well. So first thing we want to go ahead and do is change the download object to support it, to target it in our environment, like so. We go ahead, let me zoom in, and we want to update like so. And now in our partial download, we want to go ahead, copy and paste this code. Right at the same time, we want to get all files. And now at the same token, we want to take partial.txt. We want to go ahead and upload it to Drive. Big file, not big enough for a zoomable upload. If you go watch my upload video, you know I'll talk about with zoomable. So now we have our partial upload file uploaded to Google Drive, and next we want to look at the request that we'll take. Right. So we want to take a look at the size of our file. You can see that it's actually about 700 kilobytes, and we want to just request a little bit. We don't want to request too much. We go ahead and make the request. Always get thrown off to where the app still is. I should just open it up in a new window, but that's okay. Found it. We go ahead, and that's what we get. And now let's go ahead and take a look at our request. Right? So we look at the range, we're only asking for 99 bytes, right? So when you're dealing with, when you want a partial download, this is how Google Drive API wants to go ahead and divide the file. It divides them through its byte, from its very first byte to its very last byte. So let's go ahead and play around and see what happens when we ask for more. Is there going to be a limit, or we're going to go get it in one shot? Let's ask for a couple. Let's try to get around, a big size, a big little chunk, right? It's able to download it. I should have made this a megabyte file. I'll let you guys play with it, see what happens if there's a meg and a gigabyte. Will it crash the application? Will it give you an error and it says download the file in pieces? Who knows? But that is okay. Let us try to experiment with something we can do, which is actually start from a negative number. Instead of 500, let's say negative 500. Let's see what happens. Will it fail gracefully, or will it give us error? I think, right, it failed gracefully, and it decided to say, you know what, let me just give out the whole file. So here, this is one of the nice things about Google Drive. It fails gracefully, in which it will give you the whole file to deal with. Like, you could notice it later in your app that you don't want the whole file, but just know that with partial downloads with the rage header, if you don't give it properly, it will fail gracefully and will not notify you. So it's very important to make sure that we have this right. All right, and let's look at the size. So the file is 639 kilobytes, and I'm assuming that it's referring to bytes from in the binary system, not the decimal system. So I'm going to take out my calculator, and what I'm going to do, I calculated it a bit before. 639, we'll multiply it by 1024. That's how many binary bytes are in a kilobyte. The logic between the number systems is difficult, but right, this is how big in bytes my file is. So I'm going to go ahead and give it 700, and I'm going to give it 700,000 bytes. Right, I'll add another zero, so that's 7 million bytes. We will see what happens. Will it fail gracefully? Will it repeat itself? Or now it just goes ahead and gives us the full file as needed. Right, so that's very interesting. And I think I saw something before. I just want to go ahead and double check. Let's see, negative. Want to just indicate that it's giving us the full file or not, right? Right. So I believe what happens, it actually starts at 0, actually fails a bit gracefully. It starts at the first offset, which is 0, and actually goes to the last offset, which is 7,000. If you go ahead and try to take a look at the file, partial.txt, see where it starts. Oh, something interesting happened, right? That's not where it starts at all. Let me actually try to see if I can find this offset here. Right, and at 156. So I don't know if this is, all right, let me actually try to see where this is going for you guys watching. Let me actually try to get to the top of the file and see where it's given us. Right, so it kind of gives us at around 815, and partial is, how does it start? It's at 815, right? So before I thought it was giving us the whole file, now it's not. So definitely just want to indicate to the API, right? And we just know this API is predictive. Once you provide positive numbers, right, we start from the offset of 8, which is actually the first byte in the file, right? We start at 8, but when we get negative, we get unpredictable. There's not a pattern to it. So we just want to make sure that we provide the correct range for our range when we're requesting for these bytes. Make sure that the string is proper, or else it will fail gracefully. And we don't want it to fail gracefully. Yeah, I gave it letters and it failed gracefully. Right, I was able to process it. Looks like it gave me the whole file there, but as you can see, it's a bit unpredictable. Right, so thank you for watching. It's much appreciated. I always like doing these videos. I always like sharing what I learned with you guys, because in order to conquer Google Cloud Platform, we're going to have to do it together. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And also, most important, reach out to me in the comments. Always love to assist you with any personal learning, any personal projects, any projects at work that you have. And always, I'll paste a description of the instructional. As you can see here, I'll paste that in the video description, as well as the MIME types. I'm going to paste that in the instructional as well, so you can know where to refer to the MIME types if we were, say, working with spreadsheets. Right, okay, I don't know the spreadsheet URL, but there's Google Docs, there's Google Slides. Also make sure to provide the MIME types as well. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.